What's up guys, it's Will here, back again, and we're here to talk about something very important today. A recent study actually came out and women actually rated the most unattractive hobbies for men. And unfortunately for us, the second most unattractive hobby was collecting figurines. Are we all doomed to a life of loneliness and despair? Absolutely not. And we're going to talk about that in detail today. But before we get started, make sure to like the video down below, click the subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any content when it goes live on this channel. That said, let's talk about this very alarming study. So we have playing video games at number 1. The chart seems to indicate that 90% of women included in this study reported that playing video games is an unattractive hobby for men according to them, according to their standards. Collecting figurines at 85%, mostly what we're here to talk about today. Then you got magic tricks at 80, online trolling at 75, gambling at 70, building model trains at 65, taxidermy at 60, comic book collecting, another hobby close to home for many of us in the community here, at 55, and bird watching at 50. So we talk about figures a lot on this channel and really just in the community in general, but I don't know if we always talk about what the lifestyle of collecting hot toys actually looks like. And I think this study actually brings that into the spotlight, and it gives us a gateway into discussing topics that I think are really important. And I think there's some big picture themes here that can really tie together my thoughts on this study. And the first one being that people will generally judge things harshly that they don't understand. This obviously extends far beyond collecting and could probably be applicable to almost every hobby on this list, but I think as far as collecting figurines goes, a lot of women out there probably don't understand why we enjoy it as much as we do, so they judge it harshly. But I think that's a very personal decision, and I think when you come into a social situation, or a romantic one for that matter, I think there needs to be a good justification for why you're doing what you're doing, because there are stereotypes that exist, unfortunately, and generally speaking, they are pretty negative. And it's unfortunate that we have to explain ourselves to most women, but I do think that is the reality of the situation for most. There are some women out there that are very understanding and may even like the same things that you do, but I would say in general, that's unlikely most of the time. There are a significant number of women out there who really love 1/6 scale collecting or statue collecting, but this is a predominantly male hobby at the end of the day. If you ask any YouTuber their analytics, the numbers are pretty shocking in terms of how many men are watching these videos and contributing to this hobby versus how many women actively engage. So right or wrong, I do think the responsibility is on us to explain to inquisitive parties why we do what we do in terms of collecting, and explain the natural, very realistic, normal reasons as to why we buy these things. And I don't mean for this to turn into a dating tutorial for hot toys collectors. That's not really the aim or purpose of this video, but I do want to share my personal experiences and try to at least understand the other side as to why people might have some trepidation about something they don't understand. And the people that already make those assumptions that you don't have that type of value probably aren't going to be the ones you're going to want to go after anyway, because they're a little bit too judgmental to be worth your time. A woman who judges your hobby harshly without even trying to take the time to understand it probably isn't the right partner for you. Because if we're thinking about the long-term prospects of this potential partnership, then that's not a good sign up front if they're not even willing to try to understand why you value what you do and what your passions and interests are. Collecting hot toys is nothing to be ashamed of. I think there are any number of valid reasons as to why someone would spend the type of money they do and the time and the energy to collect these type of hot toys. But I think at the end of the day, if someone's not willing to understand and meet you in the middle, then that's their loss. And the fourth theme I want to bring up is that passion should never be sacrificed outright to appease an external party, but compromise is often necessary. And I think this is partially where this misplaced assumption comes from. There are a substantial amount of women out there, clearly based on the results of this study, that hold the opinion that collectors of figurines are maybe unwilling to compromise with their partners or meet their needs. From my experience, hot toys collectors are extremely well-rounded people. There's a lot of collectors out there who do far more than just collect figures. And that's really a great aspect of life. You know, you can always make the choice. If you want to collect hot toys as your primary hobby, that's something that I spend a lot of time on. It's a great hobby. That's great, but there are other hobbies out there that I enjoy as well, and other interests that I can sort of connect with in terms of partnership, friendship, or whatever the case may be. And the fifth theme that I want to communicate here is that hot toys are typically a representation of a person's fondness for memories in their own lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are situations where a collector will buy a figure just because they think the figure looks cool, but I don't believe that that's the norm. What I believe is that most collectors will purchase a figure and decide to put it on their shelf because they have a positive association with that character and the story they inhabit. And it's a very natural, human, and positive thing to feel nostalgic, to long for good days, to long for the times when you had a positive experience, when you had a good time, remembering things that were positive memories in your life. Hot toys are a representation of that. So when we drill down into why we collect these figures, that's what I believe is the reason primarily as to why we do it. And I think if people really took the time to try to understand that, I think they would see how healthy of a hobby it is. And the sixth theme that I want to communicate here is that Hot Toys figures are high-end collectibles that are less figures and more so art. Art by its very nature is subjective, and I think there are very talented artists who work on these figures and make them as lifelike and as satisfying to collectors as possible. Are they a product? Absolutely, but a product doesn't necessarily exempt something from being art. And I do think the women that participated in this study, as I mentioned, are very unlikely to be familiar with any aspect of figurine collecting, but certainly not high-end figure collecting in relation to Hot Toys. Would they purchase these figures? Probably not, but it doesn't mean they wouldn't support you in the process. And at the end of the day, that's all anyone's asking for from their partner: support and understanding and compassion. You're not necessarily asking for them to partake in your hobby with you and collect these figures with you, but as long as they understand why you do what you do and they support you in the process, that's fine. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this study and just your overall experiences with dating in general in relation to your Hot Toys collecting and communicating that passion to other people. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss anything when it goes live here. This is not the usual video that we do on this channel, but I do think this topic was worth discussing, and I'm interested to see the reception to it. And I think it's really an important one that I think a lot of people, it goes unaddressed, I think, in our community a lot. And I think this is something that I wanted to make, and this study was an outlet to do so. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really appreciate you as always, and never be shy to be yourself. I think that's really important. And I think as long as you communicate it effectively, I think you're gonna do just fine in life, in dating and otherwise. That's always how it works. Guys, thank you so much for the support as always. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. See you later. Bye.